Yo, what's up? My name is Webster, and if you're watching this video, chances are you feel that you need to improve your skill in first-person shooters, specifically regarding to aim and aim. So, aiming, what is it? It is accurately shooting your target. And in a first-person shooter, that means controlling your mouse movements, managing recoil, and accurately placing your crosshair on the enemy. So today I'm going to be going through a few tips, a few settings that you can use to improve your aim in first-person shooters, and hopefully you will come away from this video better than you were before. So the first thing to do is disable all mouse acceleration. And that is done in a number of ways. The first way is by going into your Windows settings, your mouse options, pointer options, and clicking the little box that says Enhance Pointer Precision, which sounds like a good thing. You want to enhance your precision. That's why you're watching this video, is to enhance your precision. But what that actually is mouse accel, and you don't want that at all. So you want to unclick that little box. And while you're at it, you probably want to set your Windows settings, your Windows sensitivity, to 6 out of 11, which is the default. That means that you won't have any Windows sensitivity when you're in-game messing you up, because Windows sensitivity is stupid. When you have a higher sensitivity than 6 of 11, you skip pixels, and when you have lower, you lag on pixels, and that's pretty much exactly what it sounds like when you have higher sensitivity. You literally cannot stop your cursor on certain pixels, which is terrible if there's an enemy occupying that pixel on your screen. So 6 of 11 and no pointer precision. That is your Windows settings that you should be using if you're playing first-person shooters. And then what you want to do is you want to go in-game to your settings and enable raw input. And what this does is make whatever it is you just did to your Windows setting completely redundant and useless, and it doesn't matter at all. Because what raw input does is it doesn't factor in your Windows settings. It simply uses the mouse's raw input. That's why they call it that. So why would you then set your Windows settings like that? That is in case you're playing a game that does not have raw input option. Most games do, but maybe you'll find a game that does not have the option, in which case you're gonna need to have these settings enabled. And by the way, the game that I'm using as an example will be Counter-Strike Global Offensive. But most of these tips will work in any first-person shooter. So, now that you have raw input disabled, or mouse acceleration disabled, raw input enabled, and your Windows settings all sorted out, you may still have mouse acceleration. This would probably be because you have mouse acceleration enabled in-game through your options menu. And if you're new to first-person shooters, I recommend you take a look at your options menu and find out if just tweak things and make things comfortable for you with regards to key bindings as well as aim. So if you have acceleration enabled in your options menu, disable it immediately. And then you should, if you do all of those things correctly, you should have no mouse acceleration. If you still have mouse acceleration and you've fixed all these options and you've checked to make sure that you don't have mouse acceleration enabled anywhere, then it means you have the worst type of mouse accel, which is hardware acceleration. And that means that it's built into your mouse. And this usually happens if you have like a home PC or an office PC that came with its own mouse and keyboard, and that mouse is a piece of shit more often than not, and if it has hardware acceleration, you need to throw the mouse away because you can't turn it off. No matter what you do, it's built into the sensor. Nothing you do will ever turn off mouse acceleration. So basically you need a new mouse at that point. But some of you may at this point be saying, whoa, 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 Webster, slow down. I'm new to this whole thing. I don't even know what mouse acceleration is. Alright, well, mouse acceleration, this is with my standard sensitivity, no mouse acceleration, doing a 360 on my mouse pad. This, now I've enabled mouse acceleration, and I'm doing the same exact motion. Same distance, same speed, and I go a lot slower. Now, same distance, but much faster, and you'll notice I go way further than I did without mouse acceleration. That's what mouse accel does. The distance that your crosshair moves is based not on how far you move your mouse, but how fast you move it. And this means that it's inconsistent, and you can never build up muscle memory. Muscle memory is when you do the same movement over and over again until you can just do the movement without thinking about it. That's muscle memory. And since humans don't have the ability to regulate exactly how fast we move our hands, you can never build up muscle memory with mouse accel, unless you are a machine, in which case, congratulations on becoming self-aware, and I'm happy that you've chosen to improve your first-person shooter skills. So, golf clap for the self-aware video game playing robot watching this video. But I'm going to continue as if you are not a robot, as if the viewer is in fact human, and say that you don't want mouse accel, because there's no point. There is only one professional player in the game Counter-Strike that I know of who plays with mouse accel, and no one knows how he does it. He sort of just does. That is swag, if you were wondering. That probably means nothing to most of you. Alright, but that is mouse accel. You don't want it ever. The next thing is your sensitivity in-game. For most people, I'm going to say over 90% of people who are struggling with aim, or just play first-person shooters casually, you need to turn down your sensitivity. You need a lower sensitivity. Most competitive FPS players will play on around 450 DPI, which is dots per inch. That is your built-in mouse sensitivity. That is how sensitive the actual sensor on your mouse is. So that's actually pretty low. Most mice will run 800, 1000, or 1600 for their default DPI. So 450 is pretty low, and then they will use around a 2.5, 3 in-game sensitivity. Between 2 and 3 is the average. So that's really actually quite low. And at this point, I'm going to say, do as I say and not as I do, because I use a much higher sensitivity. I am in that maybe less than 10% that I was talking about that don't need to turn down their sensitivity. Because people will tell you that sensitivity is preference, which it is only to a certain point, because for the most part, sensitivity is genetic, which sounds weird because computers aren't really part of your genes. Unless you are a robot. And again, golf clap. So, what do I mean by sensitivity is genetic? That means that some people are born with an ability to use their wrist to accurately control something. Most people don't have this. Your wrist is not a particularly precise muscle. And so, if you're using it to control a mouse, that means that you're not going to be as consistent. You're going to find it a little bit more difficult. Your arm, on the other hand, is a very precise muscle, and if you're using that to aim, you probably are going to hit a lot more of your shots. It might take a while to get used to, but in the long run, it will make you more accurate. When I said I didn't have to turn down my sensitivity, that's not entirely true. I have turned down my sensitivity a lot from when I started playing. I used to play on a 6 in-game sensitivity. with 800 DPI, which is insane. That is a crazy person sensitivity. So now I use a higher DPI. I use 1400, which is a little bit weird because there really aren't any mice that default to 1400 DPI. But I use a 1.6 in-game sensitivity. So it's a very low in-game sensitivity. Like I said, most pro players will use between a 2 and a 3. But I have a much higher DPI, so I actually have like more than twice what an average competitive Counter-Strike player uses. But that's very comfortable for me. That actually is sometimes a little bit low for me, because I am in, like I said, that one, like, let's say 5% of people who are able to use a higher sensitivity. And this doesn't mean that I'm better than you, like I'm inherently a higher evolution of the species, although I'd like to think that. But this just means I play at a different sensitivity. That's really all that means. So turn down your sensitivity. I know it seems like a stupid thing to do, and you can practice, you can get better with a higher sensitivity, there's no point. But, you know, in the time that it would take you to get to where you should be with a higher sensitivity, you could be really good with a lower sensitivity. So turn down your sensitivity. That's step 2. And to find exactly what sensitivity you should use, I recommend starting on like a 1.5 or 2 or somewhere around there. Quite a low sensitivity. If you have a mouse that can adjust your DPI, turn that down to like 450. If not, just do whatever. Make it low. Basically, make it a very low sensitivity, and then just slowly increase it until it becomes difficult to control. So increase it by like 0.1 every so often, every 2 minutes. Just play with it, and like jump into a server or whatever, play with your, mess around with it, and increase it until it becomes difficult to control, and then decrease it by like 0.3 or something, and that'll be your sensitivity. So you want as fast a sensitivity as possible without sacrificing control. That's the goal, because you need to be perfectly accurate, but also it helps to be able to flick shot people and move quickly, and not have to like wear yourself out. And this unfortunately also means you might have to buy a new mouse pad, because a lot of mouse pads aren't going to be able to fit a lower sensitivity. You're going to be like swiping it across very fast. So bigger mouse pad, lower sensitivity. Fortunately, mouse pads are pretty cheap, so I guess that's just a tip, I guess. Get a bigger mouse pad. They're not that expensive, and they'll help you in the long run. So now that you know to turn down your sensitivity, there is the final and most important part of becoming better at a first-person shooter, and this is practice. You cannot improve your aim without practicing. Unfortunately, these settings will help you. These settings will make it a lot easier for you, but they won't actually give you better aim. I wish they could, because that would be kind of cool, but they can't. You have to practice. And the gameplay that's actually been playing in the background has been me. This is like my regular practice routine, is I just run this configuration. If you do play CSGO, there will be some text in the description. Copy and paste that into a text file, and then download the map that will also be in the description. Run that map in a deathmatch, offline deathmatch, without bots, and then copy paste that text file into your console, and then just practice. It gives you an hour of infinitely respawning bots and an AK-47. Just join terrorist side and just practice. So those are the 3 steps to getting better at first-person shooters. Turning off mouse acceleration, finding a good sensitivity, and then finally just practicing. And this takes a long time, I have to say. Like, I've been playing for over a year at this point, and I'm finally just starting to really hit my groove and actually have my aim to be a comfortable thing that I feel okay about. And I don't have a perfect aim or anything like that. There are plenty of people out there with better aim than I do, but I think it's good enough to where I can maybe help someone else out. So I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching, of course, and I hope that you will be hitting some crazy headshots before too long. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to click down below and check out my channel. Subscribe if you like it, and as always, I'll see you all next time.